Hi, it's Becky from Genie Frog Crochet. Today I'm going to do a quick video just to show you how I make a granny square. Granny squares are used to make so many different things, clothing, bags, blankets. So it's a really good place to start if you're learning to crochet, if you're wanting to make a few things. So I'm going to start with this duck egg blue in Stylecraft Special DK. I'm going to put a slip knot on my hook, like so. Now I personally don't use a magic circle. I know a lot of people do, but I've never really used one, to be honest. I find this way is a much better way to get your centers to stay together and not unravel. So we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to join to the first chain to make a little loop. Join with a slip stitch to your first chain, and then you've got this little hole in the middle here where we're going to make our granny stitches. So we're going to chain 3, which counts as your first double crochet, and then I'm going to go into that little loop there that you've made with your chain 4, pull through my yarn and make a double crochet, and then do the same again. Go into the little loop. It gets easier the more stitches you pop in that loop, and make a double crochet. So that's your first granny cluster. Then we're going to chain 2 for the corner, and then another 3 double crochets into that middle loop. 2, 3, and we're going to chain 2 for the corner, another 3 to make your granny cluster, chain 2, and then the final 3 in the middle, and then you chain 2 and you join them with a slip stitch to the third chain of your beginning chain 3. So basically at the top of your chain 3. So into the top one, pull through with a slip stitch, and then I'm going to fasten off and show you how to do the next row in a different colour. So sometimes you see granny squares that have been made, particularly large granny squares if you're doing a continuous granny square blanket, and they start to skew ever so slightly. The way to combat this is to turn your work after every row. So you'll have alternating, I suppose, front side, back side, front side, back side, but it also means that your granny square will be double-sided. It won't really matter. I always keep the back, I keep all my loose ends on the back, because then it's just easier to weave them in for me. So we're going to get, what one should we have next? This magenta colour, and the way I do it is I join with a stand-in double crochet. I do have a separate video on how to do stand-in stitches. There we go. You slip knot on your hook, and then you just choose a corner. I like to go the opposite side, so I'm going to pick this one here, and I'm going to do a stand-in double crochet, and then another 2 double crochets in that corner, chain 2, and we're going to chain 2 to make our new corner, and you're going to put another cluster in this corner stitch. 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to move over to your next corner and you're going to put in a granny cluster and then a chain 2 and then a granny cluster, chain 2, and because I'm treating this side as the back of my blanket, I'm going to, as I go over into the next corner, I'm going to hold my tail and I'm going to make my clusters over the top of it to hold them more securely in place. And then chain 2 for your new corner and another 3 in that corner space. And then move on to your last corner, granny cluster, chain 2, granny cluster, and then I'm just going to join to the top of my standing stitch with a slip knot. Fasten it off like so. Pull it nice and tight and make sure that my tails are in the right side. And then I'm going to do one more row with you with this lovely Empire colour. And you basically just do the same again. You pick a corner, join with a standing stitch, standing double crochet, and you do another 2, chain 2 for your new corner, and as I say, if you turn your work over after every row, hopefully your square should stay a true square. And the idea with your grannies is you just make a cluster in between the clusters from the row before. Chain 2 for your new corner. Some people do a chain 1 between clusters. Sometimes I do, it depends what I'm making. If I'm making a granny square blanket or a bag or something, I generally don't chain 1, I just go straight into the gap and make my next cluster. Three, chain 2 for your corner. 3, and again I like to hold my tail and make sure I'm crocheting over it, just to hold it more in place before I weave the end in. 3, and your last corner, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. And your last bit there. Last cluster, and again join to the top of your standing stitch with a slip stitch. Snip off your yarn, and there you have it. And this is your basic granny square made with granny clusters, and then all you would do is you would weave in your ends on the back, and you can make granny squares this size and join them all together. You can make bigger ones and join those, or you can just make a continuous. It's great for stash busting if you've got lots of bits and bobs. I like to wind up yarn that I've used from other projects and make a stash busting blanket every so often. You just use up all your ends, and that is a basic granny square. I hope you found that helpful and have fun. See you soon. Bye.